Hi, this is my first time catching your stream. Unfortunately, it's 12 a.m. where I am, so I'm probably going to fall asleep listening, but I'm glad to be here. Hello, Avon's Honor. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Well, before you go to sleep then, let me quickly give you a wide view of our current setup, shall I? This is our base. This is a continuation of a save that started pre-Spaced Out, but it has gone through the big merge update, which means that a lot of Spaced Out's mechanical balancing and changes have been applied. Some things that notably haven't changed is this is still a massive asteroid, and we don't have multiple asteroids that we can visit. The like different types of rocket engines and nuclear and stuff like that. That isn't something that we're going to be playing with. We have the old style visit, send out space missions, they bring stuff back kind of space program. Arguably simple in some ways, but you know it lacks some things in others. The big changes to performance. The big changes to some of the balancing in key structures are here, though. We don't have the Spaced Out DLC critters, because many of those only come from certain types of asteroids. Sadly, we don't have any Sweetles, which does make me very sad. Even though they kind of have Eldritch Horror-like legs, their name is just so cute, and I do wish we had some. But we do have a really, really nice and developed base that we are, by very small measures, making mega. Very small measures in some cases, sadly. We have a space program, and I'm intently proud of this, even though I shouldn't be, because realistically, I feel that everyone and their dog has a space program in this game, and I'm so late to the party. But nevertheless, here we are. Here's our tiny little bumbly rocket that keeps going up there and bringing back stuff that I can use to make insulation. Do I actually do that? Am I making insulation with anything? I do wonder. Do I have that set? Yes, I am. I use it occasionally to make insulation, which gives me... thermium and stuff. So gives me the ability to build some really, really high temperature tolerance items, which is nice. We are more than likely going to do two things in this stream. One... Okay, maybe three things. One of them is very passive, though. The passive thing is I want to continue my quest to basically excavate all of the internals of the asteroid. I'm kind of giving up on the idea of maintaining the abyssalite, mostly. I might keep that, I don't know. Having a few swaths of abyssalite here and there is kind of nice. It gives us a bit of visual variety, but it does make pockets of gases. The other thing is I would like to homogenize our gases in here. Either vacuum out everything outside of our living quarters, or... like I said, homogenize it. Gases don't mix in this game, so when I say homogenize, I don't mean dilute them all together until you've just got this weird gassy soup. I mean probably replace them all with oxygen. We have so many water sources and steam sources that is absolutely a possibility. We can totally do that, in fact. It's kind of crazy, the amount of steam vents. I think we're up to like 4 or 5 different steam vents on this map. We are never going to run out of water. Ever. We've also got several volcanoes. One of which is something I would like to tap into. But the big project that we've been working on for a while and was stalled in the last stream due to unforeseen consequences of a black hole eating the game repeatedly is we are going to set up our mega base over here. We have been gradually building this up so that we could migrate everyone from this tiny, tiny base, very functional, very tiny though, to this honking great majestic mansion of a base where everyone gets their own bedroom. It's going to be grand. They don't get their own bathrooms though. We're not that fancy, unfortunately. One day I will do a run where everyone gets their own bathrooms as well, and it's going to be truly amazing. And they'll have their own Atmo suit dock, and it's going to be great. They can just go home. They'll have their own dining room. Well, maybe not that, because the Great Hall mood bonus is quite a thing of beauty. But nevertheless, they'll pop in, and it's like, ah ha ha, and then they'll go down to the dining room, come out of their Atmo suit, have a bite to eat, ah ha ha, and then, you know, go on and do other things. One day, that is the dream. This is our industrial brick. I've learnt a lot building this, but I would absolutely design it differently next time. In a big way, actually. The temptation to strip that down and rebuild it is so great, but I am resisting it, and I hope you appreciate that, chat, because we've stripped that down and rebuilt it like 3 times already. But the big two sort out the megabase, build a new rocket silo for a much longer range rocket. We need to do more research so that I can get to the point that I can build super long range rockets. But this one is going to take priority. I just want to get them over here. This has been so long in the build-up now. I am ready for this to be done. Swift Squirrel, just stopping by for a quickly to say hi. You know, you could have gone with the rhyme, just stopping by to quickly say hi. Instead of quickly to say hi. You know, just flip those two words around. You got a bit of a rhyme going on. Thanks for the almost year and a half of wonderful content. Have a great stream. Oh, thank you very much. You take care. Are we winning? Yes. Belial isn't winning. Belial doesn't even have a corpse anymore. Still has a memorial, but doesn't have a corpse, sadly. That got eaten by an update. A rocket with 3 research modules on it would be very helpful, but that doesn't really work, does it? Because when we go to a planet, we can only get research based on the researchers that are left. Belial hasn't lost. He is lost. That is true. Like, for example, here, we've studied everything, so we don't get any more data disks from going here. Same over here. We've studied everything. I'm fine with taking 5 trips to study everything. That doesn't bother me at all. Because that just means I'm going to get more gear from the place, you know. Oh, crude oil and petroleum over there. Nice. And frozen methane. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. But yeah, that's the overall. Never fear, off-brand Leafin is here. Oh dear. Oh dear. Leafy poo. Leafin is in attendance. That hammer is available. I did warn you as well. I said, look, you know, it's funny and all, but I'm not going to protect you from the repercussions of this. I mean, I have found it hilariously funny, but Leafin, on the other hand. If you power through researching the planets, you can switch over to harvesting more. I mean, that is true. That is true. I will not leave until you read this, Aavak, please. I need to dream of tea and need to go to bed. Oh, I do apologize. Glad I did stop by for a little bit. I shall now pass out and sleep, dreaming of tea. Well, I hope you have fantastic dreams. May the dreams be of vast plantations of tea, naturally grown, not farmed. There's a disquieting industrialness to farmed tea plantations that I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me. But I hope that the tea in your dreams are truly wild and beautiful, majestic, in fact. Of course you find it hilariously funny. A, you're a jackass. B, you are immune to the hammer. Nay, you have the golden hammer. I have the golden hammer, do I? Okay, fair enough. Can I swap it for something a little bit more useful as a hammer material than gold? I feel that using a gold hammer to beat things while undeniably bling is not exactly the best material for the job. Oh, you have to kill someone, then you get a random new weapon. Okay, I see. This is how it works. Fair enough. It is very heavy, yes. I mean, you know, the hammer would deform quickly, but it would cause a lot of damage. That's true. A gold hammer would be very, very good with the first couple of swings. It would do its job admirably. Right, okay, so what are we going to be doing over here? Well, you know, let's unpause and allow our derps to do their thing. Alright, so, 2 things in particular. One, I want to continue this down. I want to have basically a pool down here that will allow us to collect any wastewater, any splashing from the mechanical surfboard, and any accidents from the Atmo docks that can be pumped out, just straight out and dealt with elsewhere. I want to have a lower layer here, much like I've got an upper layer here. Basically a little attic, so this would be a little basement, just to collect the heaviest gases, which will generally be CO2. Methane would probably also make its way down there, should there be any methane in the base. Because I don't want to simply pump it out, otherwise I could just use this level, because generally speaking, people aren't going to be on this level very much. But the reason why I would like to collect the CO2 is because we've got 2 soda fountains. So I would like a canister filler over here that accepts the CO2, and then any excess CO2 gets pumped out. We'll get rid of that. Incidentally, I do actually want the gases in this base to cycle. So this little area over here will take any gases that are at the roof of the base, and the 2 pumps down here would take any that reach the bottom of the base. And we will take them out and then filter them. Oxygen will be reintroduced. Everything else will be taken away. That will also take a little bit of pressure off our oxygen production. But it will also allow us to run the oxygen back through the air conditioning unit, which is going to be a large block of mostly liquids that are kept cool at a comfortable temperature. I mean, you know, I guess it depends on the duplicant. Thankfully, all the derps seem to agree on the same temperature being the ideal temperature for them. So we'll probably have it around 20 degrees somewhere, because all of the plants in here will be able to thrive in that temperature as well. And so we'll maintain this pool at about 20 degrees, and the gases will come back through that and then move out to the various vents. And these will kick in whenever the pressure reaches a certain amount. I might allow these to be high pressure gas vents, but I don't think we need that. I think we just need it a little bit below the maximum normal pressure, like, you know, I know. In fact, yeah, I think these can pump out to like 5 kilos a tile, which is popped eardrum territory, far beyond popped eardrum territory, so we probably want it about 2 kilos. If it's above 2 kilos, these pumps activate, and same down here. That way we keep moving these gases out, cycling them, refreshing them, bringing them back in. I have got a bit of a plan. 20 degrees. The derps prefer below freezing. 20 scientific degrees, not silly freedom units. We are in space. We use the language of science here. In before the conversation begins, but freedom units measure the human body. It's like, okay, fine, but these are not humans. They are rough approximations of humans. However, they're very, very small. They're like a couple of, I forget how tall they are, but they are measured in centimeters, not meters. That's how small they are. Now, anyone who understands how biology works knows that the smaller something gets, the hotter it becomes. It has to run the more energetic its mitochondria becomes, because there's less of them. It's less cells make up the mass that is them, so they have to work a little bit harder to generate the heat to sustain the life. If it was much larger, then they would have more cells and they could all work a little bit less hard. It's kind of like the fans in your computer. Have more fans, fans need to spin less quickly to achieve the same temperature. But what we will do, I mean, Celsius and Kelvin are basically the same measurement. They're just right or left shifted depending on which one you're talking about. However, with our tiny little duplicants, I don't think Fahrenheit would actually be measuring the right temperatures for them anymore. I think they're a species unto themselves. Very, very cute species, but they are definitely a species unto themselves. Nevertheless, we do use Celsius here. I think the base game is Celsius. I don't know. I think there are mods though. For those of you, because obviously if you learn Fahrenheit instead of Celsius, play the game in whatever way is more comfortable to you. I think there are mods that allow you to have Celsius. There might even just be an option for it. Let me have a quick check. You know what? I'm mildly curious. Game. It'll probably be under game. Yeah. No, there is. You can choose them all. So yeah, you can have it in Celsius, Kelvin, or Fahrenheit. That's actually pretty cool. Has that always been the case? Or was that a mod? Oh, no. It's a mod in RimWorld. I'm getting confused with, because there's a mod in RimWorld that allows you to have the different measuring units. Yeah, base code is in Kelvin. That actually does not surprise me at all. Like, legitimately does not surprise me at all. Make hats from duplicant. Or what? Twisty, when are you suggesting that we wear the duplicants as a hat? I'm not sure about this. Are you... you haven't been very clear. Are you suggesting we do it while they're alive? In which case, which end is the part that you stick on your head? Has very big concerning implications for this hat you're talking about. And if you're suggesting we skin them first, I mean, I like my duplicants, though. I've spent a long time training them. I don't want to kill them. But now, as I was saying, we're going to want pumps at the top and pumps at the bottom to deal with moving the gases around and just keeping the gases in motion. I think it's really important to keep the gases in motion, not least because we are going to be generating heat in this base. We've got light everywhere. So this base is not going to be, temperature neutral. It is going to be very energetic. And we've got loads of buildings, especially the sun lamp. So having that in here would allow us to keep the flow. Now, you notice I'm only going to have the pumps at the top and the bottom, not anywhere in the middle, even though that would make it much more efficient in terms of moving the gas. But by doing it this way, and by having the gases be input at these layers, the gases should be pushed up and down just due to the differences in motion of pressure. And that will allow us to get a couple of things sorted out, I think. Additionally, down here, we've got a wee CO2 trap I think we're going to have. CO2 is a nice gas in that it doesn't mess with their eyes. They just can't breathe it. But it's fine, they breathe it out. Their body's used to dealing with CO2. It just doesn't want to, be gulping down lungfuls of the stuff. But it is still a sterile gas, more or less. So our refrigerator will be able to operate a little bit better with some CO2 in here. And we'll be filling that up. But that will serve both of these, and it will also be delivered to by our cook station, wherever we end up setting that up. Now, there's a couple of changes I want to make over here. One of them is I want these to be built sooner rather than later. If that could be made to happen, that would be grand. And I think at this point, we are actually going to go ahead and draw out this floor. Now, I was a little bit hesitant of doing this previously, because I didn't really want to cut off this access point, but I'm kind of over that at this point. Well, we're going to have to dig up through the abyssalite a little bit to get over there, but... Okay, no, actually, we're going to change that up a little bit. I want to clean this area out completely first. No. No, I don't. I am almost certainly going to have to reroute the piping over here. And do I really just want an area at the side? I could just fill this in. But that will make any future interactions on this side a little bit more cumbersome for me. So you know what we're going to do instead? I think we're going to set up a dig order along here, just so I have access down there should I need it. Let's grab you. B is the keyword, for that. Let me cancel that. Cancel the dig. Thank you. That will give us access on that side, so I can do some more maintenance in the future. And one of my concerns here is that I am legitimately building this base in such a way that it's going to be very difficult for me to change it later on, and that's a worry. It's not a worry I'm going to not do, but yeah, it is something I'm aware of, which perhaps makes it even worse that I'm doing it anyway. I don't know. We've made all of this out of sedimentary rock. Really, have we? My lord, we had a lot of sedimentary rock. I'm kind of not used to that. Dear goodness. Why were we not using that for our hatch farms? Oh well, we've started, so I'll finish, I guess. But we won't go all the way down there. Cancel that one. This is going to take a little while to get done, so I'm going to leave our derp still. Well done, actually. I'm glad you guys are getting involved there. Alright. Now, we're still cleaning up this mess over here, and we've been doing this for, I don't know, actually. We cleaned up a bunch of mess down here as well in the same way. We just had an auto sweeper do it because it's frankly, it's like, I don't mind using the power to take care of this so that my derps don't have to. But I believe we're dropping all of that over here in the cooking area. I can't even see how much stuff is there. That's how much stuff. Like, I'm sure it goes even further down than this, but there we are. We've got 12.6 tons of mafic rock, another 25 tons. Oh, 25 tons is the most it can hold in one space. Okay, we've got many 25 tons of mafic rock. Several snazzy suits, no less. Marvellous. Kelvin is that one measurement that turned out to be better for certain sciences, though. One non-metric, that is. I'm gonna confess my ignorance here. I'm not actually aware of where that would be better and why. It sounds like something that would be true. And my general feeling on when something sounds like it would be true, I become extra suspicious of it. I've kind of got like the reverse confirmation bias. The more my suspicion is confirmed, the more suspicious I become. It's like, hang on a second. I feel like this makes logical sense. That can't be right. Suspicious. The more something seems possible, the more possible it is that I am making a horrible, horrible mistake. It's always one of those tricky things. Unless I know, like, because I've seen the relevant research. And I'm like, okay, no, this is, as far as our science at the moment understands, this is how it works. And then I'm quite confident about it. But if I'm just like, yeah, no, that sounds about right, but I don't know, I become incredibly critical of it. I look at it with intense suspicion from that point, because it's like, yeah, you know, it's like drink deeply of the cup of knowledge, or don't drink at all, because a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. I forget the actual quote for that. I need to look it up again. I've come across it a couple of times, or the opportunity to remember that quote, but I haven't quite committed it properly to memory. Let's see, what was it? So, Alexander Pope. A little learning is a dangerous thing. Drink deep or taste not the Pierian spring. Their shallow draughts intoxicate the brain, and drinking largely sobers us again. Fired at first sight, with what the muse imparts, in fearless youth we tempt the heights of arts, while from the bounded level of our mind short views we take, nor see the lengths behind, but more advanced behold with strange surprise new distant scenes of endless science rise. So pleased at first the towering Alps we try, mount o'er the vales and seem to tread the sky. The eternal snows appear already past, and the first clouds and mountains seem the last. But those attained we tremble to survey, the growing labours of the lengthened way. The increasing prospect tires our wandering eyes. Hills peep o'er hills, and Alps on Alps arise. Okay, things are going generally okay. We've still got a constant problem of dribbling liquids down from up here. That largely should actually be fixed. Honestly, at this point, we shouldn't be struggling with this as much. I think it would be greatly improved. Well, are we still trying to... Oh, yeah, we are still trying as best we can to prevent temperature bleed into the remaining of this cold biome here. So I suppose what we'll do instead is mop this up. And that as well. Oh, we're still getting a bit of... Really? Oh, well, I guess that does cause a problem, doesn't it? Yes. I mean, it doesn't help that I'm dumping this, dumping any overflow water from the steam room down here. Yes. I am making a problem for myself. being a silly chat. I know. Perish the thought. Me silly. Nonsense. Alright, well, we clearly need to do something better. I think the cold in here is gone, let's be honest with ourselves. So given that, I think 'tis time, at long last, for us to do a thing that we've been meaning to do for a while. Aavak Starfleet Captain Audition Tape. Hey, Evania, how you doing? Void Soldier, diolch yn fawr iawn for the 11 months. And Pignate, thank you very much for 5 months. Diolch yn fawr to you as well. Oh, I know the negative Kelvin. Yes, Nightly Prophet. I've already covered that. That's an interesting one. But there's so... I was very... Like, let me put this in a different way. Because it would be very easy for me to say, oh, people don't take enough of an interest. And that's not the case. I lament how many people don't get an opportunity to discover just how fascinating science is. A lot of people kind of glance across that and they kind of appreciate that, oh yeah, there's loads of interesting things there, but I mean truly weird and wonderful science can be. And I think to get to that point, it largely comes down to your parents and your teachers, especially your teachers. I was very fortunate to have an incredibly passionate and engaged, well, I was going to say one teacher, but there was one in particular who was my favorite, but all of them were very engaged. And they really wanted to impart how much they enjoyed science onto us in school. And as a consequence, I feel that I've developed a tendency to seek out the weird and wonderful in science. A lot as a consequence of that. I feel that's... that I was very fortunate to have that. Oh, there we go. Whoosh. Now, most of this will just go back down here, and that's fine. Pignata, thank you. Subbed on YouTube since the Castle Doctrine. Always lurking every once in a while. Most of my content consumption doesn't stay as consistent as I have been with watching you. Thank you for the type of content you make throughout the years. Here's to many more. Thank you so much for that whomping great cheer. Diolch yn fawr iawn. And your God. Absolutely. Science is the study of the amazing and amazingly weird universe we happen to exist in. I know. Absolutely. And they're just so... Like, even that comment, they're negative Kelvin. I imagine to like many people haven't even heard of that. And with reason, because realistically, the kind of... there's no practical use to that knowledge. It just exists. And it's wonderful that it does. I would say for the vast, and we're talking this a scale that's difficult to even begin to imagine, kind of vast. Majority of people, knowing that negative Kelvin is even a thing, would be useless. It's useless information in the brain, taking the space that might be used for something useful, like, I don't know, holding the phone number of someone important. But I don't know. It's just fascinates me. I love learning little things. And the more weird and the more wonderful, the better. Right, that's pop. Actually, we won't need that. I'm going to replace that with a ladder. I'm going to replace that with a better tube. That should happen in time. As someone who's deeply into science, negative Kelvin, deep into Google I go. Enjoy. Enjoy. More space for embarrassing memories, I say. Oh no, no. I'm completely happy with using less space for embarrassing memories, please and thank you. Okay, well we're slowly mopping up all of this trouble, and honestly, once that's out the way, that's actually going to be a big help for me. This is going to continue raining down, and that's fine, I suppose. In fact, I can mop that up. Let's go ahead and jump up. I kept it on the lowest speed for a little bit, just because I was actually a little... How dare you? How did you get in here? I wonder if a shovel will melt when I launch a rocket. Also, how did you get on this Oh, you cunning little devil, you. You were in the regolith when the doors opened last. And the regolith fell down. And then got mined by my robo-miners. And now you're just living the high life, eating the regolith. I see how it goes. I see. Actually, you know, there's a meteor storm, so we're not going to find out how hot a shovel can get before it literally turns into liquid goo. But we will find that out soon enough. Our new hatch farms are doing well. I'm pretty happy with that, actually. And eventually, we'll get spare eggs over here. Eventually. Oh, well, actually, no. We'll probably just move them over there as and when we're able to. What are we feeding them presently? It should be granite and igneous rock. Really? How much of these have we got? Igneous rock, 129 tons. How much granite do I have? $14 tons. Okay, so granite is no longer on the menu, my friendos. I'm sorry to say. No more granite for you. Nope, nope.
Looking dapper.
I love the way this system works, by the way. The way it just daisy chains along. What do you want, Tilly? Oh, hello, sweetheart. She's been very affectionate lately. Imaginary numbers is my favourite part of mathematics to hate, in a loving way. This comes from someone with a maths degree. Yeah, imaginary numbers are... I will be honest, that kind of... I struggled for a little bit with the idea of like, well, okay, so these imaginary numbers allow us to use formulas that describe our universe, but we know they're wrong. So why bother? Why not just look for the ones that work? But then it's kind of like, you know, it's like, actually... I mean, it's really important that we have these models of the way the universe works. As, you know, does it really matter that on the quantum level they don't quite work as well? We're not quantum beings. You know, we just need a good enough version, you know, and it was around the sort of time when I started to appreciate that perfect was the enemy of good. And then it was like, yeah, okay, you know what? If in, you know, 99.9999 reoccurring % of the time, this formula, which we know is actually wrong, we just don't know why, does perform what we want it to, is that really bad? You know, and I started to get that a little bit more. But initially, when I encountered you know, imaginary numbers, I was like, why though? Why are we wasting time on this thing we know can't be right? The square root of -1. What? Come on now. This is bonkers. Right. That has to be my favourite imaginary number, by the way. Is that battery sitting in water? Yes, and it's being cooled as a consequence. Honestly, if the dupes are able to smell the burned dead shovel in the rocket silo that is exposed to hard vacuum, I think they've got other problems than the fact that there is a shovel cooked onto the platform underneath the rocket. Like, you know, they are not wearing their Atmos suit is probably a big problem that they should be aware of. Okay, so let's have a look. This is not getting done, and that does make me a little bit sad. Let's pump the priority a little bit. However, one thing that is getting done is a load of the jobs in here, which is gorgeous. More or less everything in here is a 7. Because why not? I guess I will also bump these up. Well, yeah, I will bump these up. Because these are build jobs that once they're done, it's done and dusted, you know? These I'm going to need done as a priority as well. So we're going to pop those on an 8 because without that we don't have access down here. And that will be a problem for me. Sooner rather than later. But one of the other things that I mentioned is I do want to start getting rid of a lot of the... just the biome guff that's around. We want to start homogenizing the biomes a little bit. This will be an 8 as well, because right now my transit tube is turned off, which is not a good thing. In fact, it's a very bad thing. Oh.
Looking dapper.
Did I really need that? Oh, I might have. Oh, I might have needed it. Why? Why did I really need that warmed up? No, you know what? I don't think I need it anymore, actually. This is genuinely the problem, though. With having a game that's been going for so long, and that I've come back to several times, is I forget what I was working on. Especially because the last one, it was like... because it ended due to a crash. And it took me a while to have the motivation to just go through and solve that problem. And do all of the testing necessary for it. That's the real reason why this hasn't happened for quite some time. So. How you doing? Are you still broken? Or is it just that there's... Yeah, it's full. Okay, no, that's fair. You're upset because you can't drop these things off. And that is absolutely fair. Alright. This is... I've really thought of a better design for this, by the way. Like, a massive improvement to the design overall. What we've probably got here is a lot of things... actually, let me go down to basic speed. So we've got a lot of very hot stuff out there. A lot of reasonably hot stuff in here. What is the temperature threshold that this turns on? 160. If it's below 130, it turns off. Ambient pressure also affects it. What temperature do I do with over here? See, this shouldn't have turned off. Maybe it never got up to temperature. I'll kick these in. They will start cooling the room. New steam will be introduced. But I've come up with a much better design for this. And probably the best place to demonstrate it is all the way down here, because this... Oh, look at that. Look how many molten slicksters we've got. Oh, this is fantastic. Soon we won't even be producing crude oil. We'll just be producing petroleum. But one of the biggest problems I have down here is that Oni doesn't... Like, for like a labor saving, like a computational saving mechanism, once a solid is below a certain weight, we're possibly talking in the micrograms, it no longer performs any temperature transfer calculations with its environment. The consequence of that is that you can end up with a conveyor rail just stuffed with a bunch of tiny little packets of something that are too small to cool down, but because they never get cooled, they never trick this, cause this sensor to trip, which will then allow them off the rail. Because, you know, at those kinds of incredibly small mass packets, you can just dump that into liquid. The liquid, I mean, if there is any temperature transfer at all, it won't matter anyway, because it's such a small, very hot thing entering such an enormous cool thing that it, you know, if it causes any temperature change, it'll be in a few degrees at most. And the way that this happens is when these drop down, they're instantly freezing, but this can occasionally pick them up when they're just a small packet of copper, and that causes problems. Now, this is going to cause, you know, this is going to give me free energy, which is great. We're using the copper volcano for that. But the fix that I've thought of is that why am I using the temperature of the item as the control? Why don't I just use the temperature of the room as a control? If the item is big enough, it's going to be heating the room up too much to let it off the rail. And if it's small, too small to make any change in the room will eventually cool down to the point where it will be left off the rail. A weight plate is also an option, yes, DAT594. That is another option as well, using a couple of different mechanisms. You could have it drop onto a weight plate that will only trigger when there's enough weight on it to allow it to be picked up and put on the rail, or those sorts of things. I believe that mass packets of items will eventually combine, like you saw the 25-ton Mafic rock. That was a bunch of packets of much less than 25 tons at one point. This room is doing okay. Little by little, you know, everything's coming together, but that is a fix that I think would be very useful. But let's have a look. Yeah, there we go. It's letting some of them off now. They've dropped below the temperature threshold of 140. Which is, in turn, allowing more stuff back in. Now, this is really good because... Oh, well, actually, the conveyor rail there. The gold ore, like 23 degrees, really? Ah, okay, fair enough. We had some iron and gold up here that was very cool. Not quite sure why. Maybe they sat in these areas for too long. They're probably getting cooled by my cooling system over here. Yeah, that's more than likely what's happening. Sorry, interface. I do think that having one sweepy on each side is better than having three on each side, because they were just colliding with each other. I'd always kind of hoped that they would be like dupes and would pass through one another, but that just didn't turn out to be the case, sadly. So we've lost Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and Bob, Dot, and Enzo, and instead we have Matrix and Interface. A more iconic duo, honestly. I always felt robbed of the awesome adventures that Matrix and Interface would get up to if Reboot had carried on just a little bit longer. I kind of would like to remove that just so that this dribbles down. We get a little bit more motion there. Yeah, the problem with the steam room up here is that honestly, I should just have this stop once it drops to 120. I mean, do I really care? It's free energy for the most part. Well, actually I do, because I'm using some degree of active cooling here, so I kind of want to eke out the most power I can from these things. But it's fine. So this will turn on below the temperature that this will let things off at this point. The cool rock gets brought down here. Very cool, like cooled down regolith is sent back up to the shovels, which isn't really necessary. They'll eat it at roasting hot temperatures, but it does mean that this room doesn't need to be cooled as aggressively anymore. And everything else gets dropped down. Now this little cooling system down here exists so that I'm not dropping ultra hot items into the base. That said though, we're still dropping fairly hot items into the base. They're still in the 30s rather than the like, you know, 20s, but oh well. Should we go out on another little mission? I don't think so. No. Has Tilly come back in? No, I think Tilly has wandered off to see that, but my door is still open. Probably to let Tilly come back in, but she has decided to abandon me. Scallywag cat. I swear, the day that I'm able to teach her how to close a door, I will be a happy, happy man. Also a very wealthy man, because I would be able to sell that knowledge. That you could mint that kind of knowledge. 100% guaranteed way to train your cat to close the door after it goes through it. Instant billionaire. Welcome to the world of tomorrow.